Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to work on the video details page that we started working on in the last part, and we'll try to complete it as much as possible. I think that maybe in one or two more videos after this, we should be done with the application. Just before I start, uh, a small improvement to our application. The other day, I got a comment on my YouTube video from a gentleman called Ufuk Dogan. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. So he had a good suggestion related to how we are passing in the context or the binding context from our main page to the view control or the custom XAML control that we have created. So you can see over here in this view cell that we created, the video cell, we are passing in the parent context. And for that to happen, we declared a bindable property called parent context. And then in our video cell control, we were referring to this parent context navigate to video details page command. So I got a suggestion that we actually do not need to do this. So basically what he suggested, and I tried, it worked. That's a great thing. Thank you, Ufuk, very much for the suggestion. And this is exactly what we should be doing as a community. We learn from each other. So basically, we do not need this whole line, this parent context setting. I can get rid of this. Similarly, I can go back to the code behind of the content view that we created, and I can get rid of all of this to keep it simple. And then in our binding, I can simplify it by simply removing this parent context. Sorry, I can simplify this. And then instead of this X reference to this view cell, I can simply go and refer to a relative source or to the ancestor of type, the start page view model. So let me change that over here. Let me delete this and paste it. So that's all we need to do. We can replace that with this. And now all I need to do is also define the view models namespace in our page. So I can go back over here and I can declare it here. Now with this, I do not need to pass in the binding context from my main page to the view control. So this is a good tip. Now let's go back to our application. Let me quickly run the application to show you what we have at the moment, and then we'll take it forward from there. So the application should be coming up soon. By the way, just to let you know, because of this change that we did, if I click on this, I'm still able to navigate to the next page. So it is working. Now, one thing you notice, if I just click on it again from the main page, everything comes up with a bang. Wouldn't it be nicer if we can slowly animate in the content so that it looks much more decent and not as abrupt as it is right now? Maybe let me go to a new video which we have not cached before. Let's try this one. So it's getting in the video details, and then immediately the information pops up. So that is what we are going to tackle now. For that, let me actually go back to our view model. Let me show you something that we did, and which I said that I will be talking about it in details later on. So this is what we did. Once the data has been loaded, I'm just raising an event, download completed, and anyone who has subscribed to this event can take some action on this. So how do we take an action? I can go back to my video details page, and then in my constructor, what I can do, I can bring in a simple piece of code to subscribe to this event. So I can say this dot view model initialize. By the way, this view model initialize is something that we implemented as part of our view base custom control, custom page. Here you go. So whenever it is set, we are raising this event. So basically, once the binding context has been set in the page, after that, we are raising this event. So as soon as the view model is initialized, I'm just saying that this page is binding context, cast is as video details page view model, and whenever download completed is raised, execute this piece of code for me. So simple as this. Let me implement this. Yeah. And this is where we are going to do something. Now, being a good citizen, what I'm also going to do, since I'm doing this, also at the time of page disappearing or the page unloading, I should also be unsubscribing from this event. So all I'm doing over here is at the time of on disappearing, so I'm overriding this page method and I'm just unsubscribing from this method. So what do we need to do in this function? So let me bring in a bit of code and then I'll explain what it is doing. So I'm going to bring in some code, but before that, I'm going to go to my start page, sorry, the video details page. And one thing I'm going to do, right now we only have two components, two main components. One is the poster. Let me fix this top area, and the other is the video details. And you remember I gave it some names. Additional thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to set its opacity to 0 for this control as well as for the other control. So basically when this page starts, both these controls are more or less invisible. So when I say invisible, they are not invisible, but their opacity is set to 0%, so nothing is visible on the screen. But once the page has completed loading, or once that event is invoked or raised from the view model, that is where we are going to run some animations to show this content or these content areas with certain animations. So the very first thing I'm doing is I'm just checking if this view model is in error state, then return. So you remember as part of our view model, what we are also doing, let's go back. If there is an error, we are setting the error state to true. So if an error occurred, we do not need to run this animation. So we can skip it. Another thing I'm running is, or I'm checking if this animation or this transition is already running and I decided to give it a name, transition animation. You can give it any name. If this animation is already running, then we can also return. Assuming this is the first time and there is no error, what we are going to do, we are just going to create a new animation. And to this animation, at the moment, we are adding two sub animations. So the very first animation we are adding, let me take it to the next lines so that we can see it. So what I'm saying, first animation, run it from 0 to 0.7. So the whole length of animation is 1.0. Now, what is the length? The length can be 1 second, it can be 10 seconds, it can be 30 seconds, whatever it is. So what we are saying, from 0 to 70% of this animation time. So if it was 10 seconds, then this means from 0 to 7 seconds, we are going to run an animation wherein we are going to go and change the opacity of the header view, which is this frame area over here. The header view, we are going to change it to, let's go back. We are going to transition the opacity from 0 to 1. And I'm going to use the easing of cubic in. Similarly, I'm saying from 40% of the time up until the 70% of the time, let's say if it was 10 seconds animation, I'm going to start at 4 seconds and up to 7 seconds, which is 3 seconds. Within 3 seconds duration, I'm going to go in and animate in or set the opacity, transition it from 0 to 1 on the video title. So that video title is what is defined over here, the second element of our page. And once I have defined my animations, I'm just going to commit this animation with this name, transition animation, which I was checking earlier. And I'm using 60 frames per second. And then I'm going to give it extra long duration. It again depends on your requirement, how long you want to run some animation. I would suggest that you run them in short bursts, because users do not want to just keep on waiting for animations to complete and the content to appear on the screen. I would highly recommend that anything between 2 to 3 seconds is the max animation duration that you should give. If I go to this, to the definition and see how much we have given it 1.8 seconds. And this is where we had defined as part of our application different durations, micro duration, small duration, long, medium, and extra long. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to run it for 1.8 seconds. Even though I believe this 1.8 seconds is a bit long, perhaps 1 second, 1.2 seconds should be enough. And if we, once this animation is completed, if you want to also run some other action, let's say once this animation is completed, you want to start another animation, you can do something over here. In our case, we are not doing anything. I'm just showing it to you what can be done. So now let me run the application and see how it works. So the application is coming in. Let me go to this video again, and you see the animation coming in. So first the poster starts coming in, and then after some time, the title also starts coming in. Let me run it for some other video. Here you go. And if I go to a new video altogether, which I have not cached before, let's go back over here. So we are fetching the details, and now slowly the information comes on the screen. So this looks much better now. So this is what we have been able to achieve with just this simple implementation. Now let's go back to our video page and let's start adding in more elements. So the very first thing that I'm going to bring in is the icons. So we are going to have some icons displayed over here. Let me bring in. So I'm going to be using a flex layout, and I'm going to fill in the whole horizontal space, and I'm going to evenly space the icons with even space in between each of them. And I'm going to stretch it towards the very ends. So what are we going to have? We are going to have 4 buttons or 4 pieces of information over here. The very first piece of information we are going to have is the number of likes. So we have number of likes. I'm using horizontal stack layout for this. In this horizontal stack layout, I am putting in an image with imglike.png, and I'm displaying the number of likes in the label. And if you remember in previous video, we also created a custom property in our video model wherein we converted it to say, instead of showing 1243, I will be showing 1.2K or 1.9 M. So this is what we are going to show. So this is for our likes. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to display the dislikes. So let me bring in the dislikes over here as well. And just notice that I'm also setting for this whole flex layout, I'm also setting the opacity to 0. In fact, I'll be doing it for all the elements, and then we will animate them into our page. So we have the dislike icon. So it's the same IMG like image that I'm using. The only thing I'm doing, I'm rotating it 180 degrees. So basically I'm flipping it around, and then I'm showing unlike. And additionally, what I'm doing, what if you want to dislike the video, just to show you, I have implemented a tab gesture recognizer on this dislike or unlike icon. So when you click on this, you can go and you can unlike this video, and it is bound to the unlike video command. So let's go back to our view model and let us implement this unlike video command. So here we have a relay command, and all I am doing over here is very simple. I'm not going to implement the unlike model. Once we implement the login or the OAuth functionality, which you can do in your own time, you can make the API call to dislike a video. But for the time being, I'm just displaying an alert saying that this feature is coming soon and it will be available once you have implemented the login functionality. That's it. Going back to our view, the next thing I'm going to bring in the functionality to share. So let me bring in the share icon. So again, using a horizontal stack layout, using the share icon and displaying the word share. And on the click of this whole area, I'm going to execute my share video command. Share video command is something very simple. Let's go back and implement that in our view model. So share video, and let me, yeah. So what we have over here, I'm just constructing the text that I want to share. In this case, I'm saying, hey, I found this amazing video. Check it out at this address, which is youtube.com/watch V equals to the video ID. And where are we getting the video ID? We already have stored our video in this property, the video. So I'm getting the video ID from here. So it is going to just create a text, and then I'm going to share this using the share API available as part of our uh, .NET MAUI implementation. Earlier, it used to be part of Xamarin Essentials. Now it has been moved inside of .NET MAUI itself. So I'm just creating a new share text request, setting the text equals to this text that I have constructed, and the title of this is the title of the video. So that's all we are doing in the share. Going back to our, let me close some of these so that I have some space to work with. Going back over here, after the share, I'm going to implement a download functionality. So let me bring that in. So we have the same concept, download icon and the text download. And on clicking of this, it is going to execute a download video command. So let's go ahead and implement that as well. So this is a simple command. We are not going to implement this now. We will do that in the next video. Right now, I'm just going to keep it empty. So here we have it. We have our flex layout created with 4 icons. Now, one thing I should do is before I run, if I run this right now, you will notice because of this opacity being 0, it is not going to show up on the screen. So we also need to animate this into our page. So let me go ahead and bring in the line so I can show it to you. So the next animation after the title is done, I want to run this animation wherein I'm running it from 50% to 70% of the time. So basically 20% of the time starting at half the mark, and I'm going to set transition in the opacity of the video icons flex layout from 0 to 1. So let me run this and let's see this in action. So let me go back to the first video. So now you see it also animated it, these icons, but at different times. If I click on the unlike, it is just going to show us a simple display alert, which we set into our code behind or in the view model. If I click on the share, it is going to execute and it is going to bring in the share menu. Of course, I'm running it in my simulator. I don't have any share targets, but most likely these will be your emails, your WhatsApps, your messengers, and any of your other applications that you have installed. In my case, I'm just going to go and put it in the reminders. So you can see over here, it is going to set this reminder. Hey, I found this amazing video. Check it out at this address, and it has properly bring in this address. If I click on this, it should open up the browser for me. And once I have saved this, it'll open up the browser and I'll be able to see this. If I click on the download, of course, nothing happens because we have not implemented anything. Now, the next thing that we are going to do after we have implemented our icons, we are going to display some channel details. So let me bring in some channel details. So the next control is our channel details, which is going into our fourth row. Again, I'm giving it a name, channel details, and setting its opacity to 0. And then I'm giving it 3 columns. The ones on the right and left are set to auto, so they will take up the space automatically. And everything else will be in the middle, which will take up rest of the space. And I have 2 rows defined for this, which are again taking up the space depending on the content height. So the very first thing I'm doing in the very first column and spanning both the rows, you can see over here, I'm defining a border, and this is where we are going to display our channel picture. We did that in our video cell when we were implementing. So the same concept over there, nothing fancy. I'm just showing a border with a thickness of 2, stroke thickness of 2, and I'm showing the actual image using the URI image source, which is coming from the channel snippet, thumbnails, hi URL, and I'm caching it for 1 day. And then after that, I'm showing the channel name in the second column and the first row. And then I'm showing the subscriber count in the second column and second row. So this is where the subscriber count comes in. And then in the last column, spanning both the rows, I am showing a subscribe button. So it's a simple button with the text subscribe. Since this is the only button which I'm implementing in my application, I did not decide to create a style for this. But if you have multiple buttons all looking the same, I highly recommend that you define the style for the buttons in your app.xaml file. And then I'm giving it a command, which is subscribe channel command. So that's all I'm doing. If I minimize this now, so we need to now implement this subscribe channel command in our view model. So let me go and implement that. So again, something very simple, not doing anything funky. We are not implementing the subscription. This is just to show you. So I'm just showing a simple alert saying this feature is coming soon. Now let's go back to our video cell, video details. And the next thing that we are going to implement now is list of the similar videos. So if you remember, we went over here and if there are any tags defined by the author, we are going and bringing in, we are doing a video search based on the first tag text, and we'll be showing those videos on our page. So for this, I'm going to bring in a simple collection view, which is going to be a horizontal collection view. So let me bring that in. So it's a collection view for similar videos. I'm giving it a name, setting the opacity to 0, and I'm setting the is visible to similar videos available. Now, this is one of the ways that we are doing things. I will show you a different way of doing this. But if we go back over here, depending on if there are videos available, I'm setting this to true. Otherwise, it is set to false. This is what I'm binding in our collection view right now. So we only show this if there are any videos available. The only difference I'm doing, I'm binding it, or I'm using the horizontal layout with a spacing of 8 between them. And then for the item template, I will be using a new custom template, a custom control that we will create called small video cell. So let me go ahead and let me create this control. So let's add a new file, .NET MAUI content view XAML. I'm going to give it small video cell. And thanks to Ufuk again, we'll not be doing any of that parent binding context. We'll keep it very simple. So let's go ahead and implement this. I'm going to replace this whole thing with a simple border, something very, very similar to what we did with the regular video cell. Here, I have a border, again, with some rounded corners of 8 points. I am giving it a padding. I'm setting the width to 130. And then whenever we are clicking on this border, same thing we are doing. We are going to the ancestor type of view models type view details page view model instead of start view page this time. And we are calling the navigate to video details page command. So let's bring in that navigate to video details page. That is something we had implemented in our start page. We did not implement it in our video details page. We also need to do this over here. So let me go and add, I'm just going to copy paste from the previous one because it is the same thing, nothing changes, exactly the same concept. And we go back to our small video XAML. And inside, all I have is again a frame where a grid. Within that grid, I have a frame where I'm displaying the actual image URL. This time, I'm not showing the high quality URL, I'm showing the medium quality URL. Let us hope that we have these in our models. If I go to my thumbnails, yes, we do have the medium quality URL. Video details, page, small video cells. And then I'm just showing the video title. That's all I'm doing in this control, nothing fancy. And since we are using this view models, I'm going to bring in some namespaces. So first of all, I'm going to bring in my models view. Models. So we are using these models. And I'm setting the data type of this control to our YouTube video so that we can get strong type compile time binding on this. In fact, we can fix this. It is not YouTube video. If we go to our models, yeah, it is YouTube video because for the similar videos we are using, let me go back and see. We have the tags. Where did we put in our similar videos? Oh no, it is not. It is not in this model. My mistake. If I go back to my video model, so this is where we have implemented the similar videos, and it is of type YouTube video list. So that is all we are doing. And now I can go back to my page and I can fix this. Since we have defined this, I can declare this namespace. It does not like it, which is fine. It says it is here, view controls. Let us compile and run. Maybe it is just a compiler thing. Yeah, it seems to be running. It might just be an IntelliSense thing. So if I go to this video, it will fetch the details, and right now you notice it is not showing anything. It is not showing the channel details. It is not showing the similar videos. That is because we have set the opacity to 0 and we are not changing that opacity in our animations. So let me go and bring these two as well. So I'm going to bring in my channel animation. I'm doing it from 60% to 80% of the time. And the next one I want to bring in is the similar videos. Now you can be very creative with these animations. Instead of using just the transitions, you can use scaling, you can use sliding in, sliding out, fade ins, scaling. anything that you want with different easings as well. So let us run this now and see it in action. The application is loading up. Let's go and click on the first video. Here you go. So we have our channel details. We have the channel picture, name of the channel, how many subscribers this channel has. We have a subscribe button. If I'm going to click on it, of course, we are not doing anything. And then we have list of similar videos. If I go and click on any of the videos, it will take us to another page, which is the same page basically of the same type. And there it is going to show us the information about this video. If I click on this, it is going to take us to another page and so on. And now we have the navigation stack. I can keep on going back. Now, next thing that we are going to do, in fact, before that, let me show you. So this is one way that we did, where we said is visible is equal to, binding to similar videos available, which means in your view model, you have to declare this property and then you have to do some calculation every time. So what if we do not have to do this? Let me actually remove this part. I don't need this. And similarly, I do not need to do this computation. So with this out of the way, how do we handle this? If you remember when we were implementing our framework, I implemented a custom converter called enumeration contains element converter. What this converter does, it just takes in any list or enumerable object as the input parameter, and then it checks if the count of that is greater than 0, then it returns true, otherwise it returns false. So we are going to make use of this uh, converter. Using that converter is pretty straightforward. Once we have that, all I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my base page and I'm going to create a reference to this converter. Let me add this to our namespaces. So I'm referring the converters from the framework class. So let's change it to base views. I'm just creating an instance of this converter and I'm giving it a key CVT visible on item count. Now, once I have this, what I can do, I can go back and I don't need this anymore. I can actually bind to the same videos, the item source itself. And the only additional thing I would need to say is I need to specify what is the converter that I want to use on this. So I can come here and then I can say use this converter. So similar videos, this is the list of videos. It is going to be passed to this converter. And if this list has any data, any element, it is going to return true and it will be visible. If it does not have anything, it is going to be hidden. So let's run this and see it in action. So this is what I meant in my last video, that I'll show you different ways of doing the same thing. Whichever you feel comfortable with, you can do. For me, this method using a converter is much more easier because for each of my collections, I do not need to create another corresponding property to specify whether we have elements in that or not. So you see, it works. Now let's go back and let's add something else. So I'm going to bring in and show tags. Let's go back and bring in another collection view. This time it is called tags and it is going to be bound to the video snippet tags. And the same thing, I'm saying they are visible using this converter that we have created. So let me bring that in here. And it is bound to the tags. And the only difference I'm doing this time, I'm saying item sizing strategy is measure all items because not all tags are equal. Some tags might be small, some tags might be large. So I want all the tags, everything to take up the space appropriately. Again, I'm using a horizontal layout for this collection. This time around, it is something very simple. I decided not to go and create a custom view control for this. I'm putting it directly into my data template here. It's a simple border. Basically, I'm creating a pill shape. Within that, I'm displaying the tag information, the tag name. And the last thing I will bring in is my description. In fact, there are more things as well. So I'm going to bring in my description. I'm going to put it in my 7th row, and I'm going to put that inside of my scroll view because I want to take up all the remaining space in between. And since some descriptions can be large, I want it to scroll as well. So it is just showing a label with word wrapped line break mode, and it is showing the description. And the last thing I'm going to bring in on this page is a button to see list of all the comments. Again, this is a different kind of button design. I did not decide to create a resource for this. So it's a simple button. I'm calling it button comments. It's in the last row. Again, opacity set to 0, and it is not doing anything right now. We'll be fixing that later on. So go back to our animations and let's go and fix in all the remaining animations. So for these 3 new controls that we added, I'm going to bring in the animations running on different intervals. So let me run this code now. So application is coming up. If I click on this, so you see everything is coming with an animation. Let me go back to another video. I think my simulator is feeling a bit of jerk over here. But you can see over here, everything is animating in, and this is our tags. And by the way, this videos that are coming in, this is the first tag which was specified by the author. And then we have our description, and this is scrolling, this is scrollable. And then we have the comments button. Right now, this comments button is not doing anything because we have not implemented any click handler. That is what we will be doing in our next video. So that's it for today. In the next video, we'll be doing a couple of things. We will implement the comments part. So the moment you click on the button, a bottom sheet will open up or slide in from the bottom, showing you all the comments or the top 100 comments. And then we will also start implementing the video playback at least. And in the last session, in the last video after that, we will cover the video download functionality, which we put in over here. So in theory, there are just 3 things left in this application, and then we are done. I will see if I can complete everything in the next video itself. Otherwise, the next video and the one following that. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, everyone, and hope you are enjoying this series. If you like this content and you want to stay updated with more content related to .NET MAUI in the coming days, please consider subscribing to the channel and like this video as well. So till next time, peace.